Everyone. So, so we were doing yesterday the concept of bioaccumulation, biomagnification, and I guess we have finished the major pollutants that cause bioaccumulation, biomagnification. So इसमें से जो इस साल current affairs में pollutant which is there is known as endosulfan, which is used as a insecticide and fungicide in the especially in the plantation agriculture. अब 2 मार्च की न्यूज़ है 2019 when the endosulfan has 900 crores were given for the victims of endosulfan. Kyun? As you will realize after looking at the photos why they should be immediately banned. So this is the effect of endosulfan. This is an effect of endosulfan. Defects in the birth. ये तो बड़े आदमी के लिए. Why? Because endosulfan is spread along by helicopters in some of the plantation agriculture. And Indian farmers खुद oppose कर रहे हैं for banning the endosulfan. Supreme Court wants to ban it, central government wants to ban it, but Indian farmers are opposing it. What is more dangerous is this is how the children become, or this is how the children are born due to endosulfan. A healthy child which should be born now because of the endosulfan, you can see what are the birth defects that causes due to the endosulfan pollution. This is another impact of an endosulfan pollution. So this is what you remember the bioaccumulants and biomagnification may do, because it is easily transferred from mother's milk to the children because they are fat soluble, water soluble nahi hai. So the children are more prone to the endosulfan pollution. Fine with this? So where did I stop yesterday? Bioplastics. Now you take down some of the important bioaccumulants. Some of the important bioaccumulants. One, DDT. कहाँ पे यूज होता है DDT? As an insecticides, pesticides, weedicide क्या है? It is an pesticide and insecticide. It is an important insecticide and pesticide. Generally used to control mosquito population, malaria, dengue. So अभी DDT का use will start in India when the जैसे गर्मी आएगी डेंगू केसेस आएंगे तो म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन ऑफ दिल्ली और एनी सिटी ऑफ इंडिया विल स्प्रे समथिंग and that is what is the DDT. Fine. So DDT is used for controlling the malarial population, but DDT is one of the biggest bioaccumulants. Remember, जिसने DDT डिस्कवर किया था, बनाया था, उसको नोबेल प्राइज मिला, और 20 साल बाद नोबेल कमेटी ने पब्लिकली अपोलोजाइज किया कि हमने गलती की नोबेल प्राइज देके, बिकॉज DDT ने जितने लाइव्स बचाए हैं उससे ज़्यादा लाइव्स DDT हैज टेकन अवे. DDT saved lives during World War II because it controlled the malaria का population. But उसके बाद DDT has taken more lives because DDT का use became so prevalent. It is the most common insecticide, pesticide. Municipal Corporation दिल्ली फवारा लेके जाएंगे शाम में, सुबह में white color का सब धुआं निकलेगा. They are spraying DDT. They will spray it on the land, नाले में, water में, canals में, lakes में. Ultimately, that is going in our body. So that is the use of DDT. Fine. So next point, it is used to control mosquito population लिखा है. Used to control mosquito population. Next, so this is the news I was telling about. No end to the endosulfan tragedy. You can कोई ज़रूरत नहीं वैसे देखने की. Next, DDT is the major bioaccumulant. DDT is the major bioaccumulant. and hence it it has been banned under the Stockholm Convention. It has been banned under the Stockholm Convention. It has been banned under the Stockholm Convention. But still it is used in tropical countries like India. Still it is used in tropical countries like India to control the spread of malaria, dengue, etc. Fine. See this cartoon from a famous newspaper. चूहा पूछ रहा है आदमी से कि आप फवारा तो कर रहे हो with mask. Do you eat this with mask on? That is ultimately it will result into bioaccumulation and ultimately it is going to go in our body. So मारते समय तो we are using the mask, but while eating यही mask बाहर निकलेगा and all this will go in our body in large number. So what are the effects of DDT? Effects of DDT: nausea, headache, fatigue, common है, confusion or neurological imbalance, neurological disorders. You will be always in the confused state of mind कि क्या करना है. So that is the DDT का poisoning. Neurological imbalance, thinning of egg shells and therefore loss in fertility. नहीं दिया है यहाँ पे. Thinning of egg shells and loss in fertility. Thinning of eggshells and loss in fertility, and hence birth defects, which ultimately will result into ultimately may result into cancer. Ultimately may result into cancer. In सब में cancer is very common. अब coming to this diagram, we have drawn this diagram yesterday. Producers to primary consumers to secondary to tertiary. Bioaccumulation will affect which animal the most? Tertiary consumers. Why it is going to affect the tertiary consumers most? You can see this diagram. Contaminant level phytoplanktons में. Phytoplankton से the fishes will eat phytoplanktons in large number. The contamination level increases in fishes. अब इसको seal or sea lion will eat the fishes. So इसमें का poison goes out here and ultimately sea lion को in the polar bear because it is the topmost predator of this region and therefore it is having the maximum level of contamination. तो याद रखना biomagnification, bioaccumulation. So biomagnification will always occur at the topmost in the food chain. Fine. The same thing here. Fine. So the bioaccumulation जितना higher you are in the food chain, इसमें example है Minamata का. So traces of mercury, फिर वहाँ से it goes into the phytoplanktons. वहाँ से it goes into the small fish जहाँ पे the traces of mercury is medium, but the high in large fish and in tuna. Tuna से in humans and humans में फिर Minamata disease. Is why the question is expected this year of Minamata disease because India has signed the Minamata Convention and it has also ratified the Minamata Convention. Fine with this? Is it visible? Second, endosulfan. Endosulfan. Do this important, mark this as important. Endosulfan is an insecticide, which is used on cashew, coconut, rubber and tea plantations, which is used on cashew, coconut, rubber and tea plantation. So सबसे ज़्यादा इंडोसल्फान का problem in which state of India? Kerala. Kerala is having Kasargod district of Kerala. It is having the highest problem of endosulfan. That is because of tea plantations, cashew nut plantations, rubber plantations, coconut plantations. Next, it is cheap. But dangerous bioaccumulant. Because it is associated with birth defects, including cryptorchidism. That is absence of testes in the males. That is, the children are born without testes. That is cryptorchidism. Comma, neurological disorders, including autism. Autism मतलब मेंटल रिटार्डनेस. मोदी जी ने किस पे जोक मारा था? डिस्लेक्सिया वर्सेस ऑटिज्म. व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस? डिस्लेक्सिया में लर्निंग डिसेबिलिटी है विच विल गो ओवर द पीरियड ऑफ टाइम. तारी जमीन पर वाला बात, दैट इट गोज ओवर द पीरियड ऑफ टाइम. ऑटिज्म इज मेंटल रिटार्डनेस, राइट? So dyslexia is different from autism. Comma, neurological disorders, neurobehavioral disorders, confusion का state हो रहा सब. Neurobehavioral disorders, comma, lower testosterone and cancer. Therefore, endosulfan was added to the list of persistent organic pollutants. अब persistent organic pollutants पूरा मत लिखना, क्योंकि एग्जाम में कभी कभी यूपीएससी भी पूरा नहीं पूछती. यूपीएससी सिर्फ शॉर्टकट पूछती है. पॉप्स मतलब persistent organic pollutants. That is nothing but another name of bioaccumulants. Persistent organic pollutants. In the year 2011, Government of India has banned the use of endosulfan. But the matter is sub judice. Sub judice मतलब matter is going on in Supreme Court regarding the endosulfan should be banned or not. Farmers want endosulfan. Government wants to ban the endosulfan. किसकी गलती है? Farmers की. उनके ही बच्चे ऐसे हो रहे हैं. But see, the greed for money is such high that the endosulfan उनको चाहिए. एंडोसल्फान का मैन्युफैक्चरिंग इंडिया में बैन है, बट ऑलरेडी जो स्टॉक प्रेजेंट है उसका यूज करना अलाउड है एंड एक्सपोर्ट करना अलाउड है. सो जो ऑलरेडी स्टॉक प्रेजेंट है उसका यूज करना अलाउड है, तो यू नो कि मैन्युफैक्चरिंग इंडिया जैसे कंट्री में जहाँ पे देयर इज लैक्सिटी इन द रूल्स, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग भी पीछे से चलता रहता है। द ओनली थिंग इज कि ब्रांडेड एंडोसल्फान मिलता नहीं है। अब ब्रांडेड एंडोसल्फान किस कंपनी ने लाया था? इट वॉज ब्रॉट बाय बेयर। व्हाट इज बेयर? Baygon spray. Baygon spray belongs to Bayer. It is one of the biggest company in the world, जिसको कहते हैं transnational corporation, not multinational. Multinational से भी बड़ी, which have effect on the governments, and these are known as transnational corporations, which will change the government का rules sometimes. So when the larger than the country जब organization बन जाती है, it is known as transnational corporation. So transnational corporations 10 बड़ी corporations है, जिसमें one is Bayer, another is Nestle, तीसरा is Delmont, चौथा is Kraft Industries, fifth is Monsanto. Kraft Industries, the owner of Cadbury brand, the owner of the Cadbury brand. Delmonto, the owner of sauces. Delmonto is considered one of the most powerful countries in the world because Argentina and Brazil छोड़ के Delmonto decides who will be the president and prime minister in another South American countries. If they do not side with Delmonto, they are changed within nights. Bayer generally is so powerful that many times it has decided who will be the agriculture minister of India. जो बेयर का साइड लेगा that he becomes an agriculture minister and obviously agricultural secretary of India etc. That is, these corporations are known as transnational corporations, and सबसे powerful transnational corporation is Unilever, जिसका इंडिया में नाम है हिंदुस्तान यूनिलीवर, but it is not Indian company. दूसरा है Nestle, because Nestle is in different brands. So these are the two big transnational corporations. Can you see every of this corporation is associated with consumer industry, especially with food industry, because food is the most important thing they realize in the next future. So जैसे आज हम focus कर रहे हैं on engineering and medical, what is happening in USA right now? USA में subsidy is given to education जो farmer बनना चाहता है. 50 years आगे की सोच रहे हो कि सब इंजीनियर्स होंगे, सब डॉक्टर्स होंगे, there will be no farmers left in the world, and then farming will be the most productive business. Go and do farming, government will sponsor you, government will give everything to you. Right, even if you have failed, they will say encourage, मतलब एडमिशन लेने जाओगे मेडिकल के लिए, the first thing they encourage, क्यों मेडिसिन, become farmer first. And इनकम की कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है because there is blue box and amber box subsidies are given by the developed countries because Singapore issues an agreement on agriculture has yet been resolved. So what are green box? The subsidies that are allowed by the, which are by the WTO ka rules. What are the subsidies that are allowed? For irrigation, for any infrastructural development such as electricity, research and development in agriculture. Amber box, the which should be limited, and blue box which are not at all allowed. So developed countries give blue box subsidies, we give green box subsidies. That is, some food coupons देंगे, PDS system रखेंगे, that will come in the green box subsidies. Developed countries are going to give farmers कि कुछ मत करो इस साल, don't produce anything, what is your income, what is your production, we are calculating on the computer and this is the money. But leave your field blank, don't grow anything. It will benefit you for fertility next year, and secondly it will benefit us because the price of XYZ commodity, which that country is the largest manufacturer, it is high in the market because artificial scarcity is produced. For example, if suppose USA is the largest producer of corn, आजकल तो देसी corn nobody is getting, so that is the largest producer of corn in the market. By blue box subsidies, the USA makes sure that excess corn is not in the market, and because excess corn is not in the market, the price of the corn is very high. So developing nations want this subsidies to be removed. Developed nations want the developing countries should give access to their manufacturing products. ये कहते हैं नहीं, पहले आप एग्रीकल्चर प्रोडक्ट्स को हमें एक्सेस दो, वो कहते हैं नहीं, आप द मैन्युफैक्चरिंग प्रोडक्ट्स को हमें एक्सेस दो। तो इन इश्यूज को कहा जाता है सिंगापुर इश्यूज, बिकॉज दे आर नॉट येट रिजॉल्व। सो उसमें से है एग्रीमेंट ऑन एग्रीकल्चर, रिमेंबर 3 सब्सिडीज, ब्लू बॉक्स, एम्बर बॉक्स एंड ग्रीन बॉक्स सब्सिडीज। Again, go through today's test. It has been included because it is in the news. Explanation properly karo, what comes in the blue box subsidies, what comes in the amber box subsidies, what comes in this subsidies. Prelims test series ka test. Prelims test series ka test. Fine. Fine with this. It is in the news. That is why I have included that in the test paper. Third, PVC, polyvinyl chloride. So we have done that yesterday. Fourth, volatile organic compounds. We'll do that separately as a part of pollution. Volatile organic compounds, जिसका smell आता है. As you keep it open, उसका smell आएगा. Therefore, it is known as volatile organic compounds. So कहाँ कहाँ use होता है volatile organic compounds? It is in paints and varnishes. It is in petrols or fuels. इसलिए डीजल का स्मेल आता है as soon as you go on the petrol pump. It is a volatile organic compound. It is used on bleaching of paper. So we cannot escape from bioaccumulation, क्योंकि अभी आपको bioaccumulation हो रहा है. As you are writing on the paper, which is bleached by chlorine, chlorine is going inside your body, it is mixing with the blood and it is causing some kind of an bioaccumulation. But you cannot stop living because of this. Cosmetics. Example, कोई भी कॉस्मेटिक, क्रीम केसर युक्त, केसर नहीं होगा, उसमें सिर्फ फ्लेवर होगा केसर का, एंड दैट इज अ वोलाटाइल ऑर्गेनिक कंपाउंड. चंदन युक्त, आप खोलोगे चंदन का स्मेल, जितना ज़्यादा स्मेल लोगे उसका मतलब है इट इज़ मोर वोलेटाइल ऑर्गेनिक कंपाउंड. इट इज़ ऑल केमिकल. द केमिकल इज सच, एज सुन एज यू ओपन द बॉटल इट विल मिक्स विद द एयर एंड देयर विल बी सम काइंड ऑफ एन केमिकल रिएक्शन कि उसमें से स्मेल आएगा. नेचुरल प्रोडक्ट कभी इतना ज़्यादा स्मेल नहीं देगा जितना आर्टिफिशियल देगा. फाइन. इसलिए एज सुन एज यू ब्रिंग एनीथिंग, पहले बहुत ज़्यादा स्मेल 1-2 दिन, एंड धीरे धीरे जब तक बॉटल आधी होती है स्मेल गायब. इट इज़ देयर. यू रिमेंबर यू आर यूजिंग द वोलाटाइल ऑर्गेनिक कंपाउंड. And dozen of chemicals which has caused maximum death, कि स्टॉकहोम कन्वेंशन उसको कहता है डर्टी डजन. सो क्या है हमारे डेली लाइफ में, कहाँ पे है? डरो मत, वी कैनॉट सेव दिस, क्योंकि इंडिया वी आर अ ट्रॉपिकल नेशन. एक तो डीडीटी के बायो एक्यूमुलेशन से मरो या चिकनगुनिया एंड डेंगू से मरो. सो व्हाट इज द बेटर चॉइस? बायो एक्यूमुलेशन. देयर वी हैव नो अदर चॉइस. वी आर अ ट्रॉपिकल कंट्री. ये टेम्परेट कंट्रीज में ज्यादा है जहां मच्छर नहीं है. So you don't have to use DDT. But हमारे इधर अगर DDT use नहीं किया, then there is chikungunya and dengue. Fine, which is again caused due to global warming. Secondly, if we do not use dirty dozen, तो आपके घर में there are insects. Unless you do not use phenyl or Lysol, ये सब this all are dirty dozen. We are not a temperate nation कि there will be no microorganisms because it is extremely cold. जैसे ही अभी मार्च शुरू हो जाएगा you will see मच्छर और कीड़े अलग अलग शुरू हो जाएंगे. Why? Because we are tropical nation. Heat and humidity will favor biodiversity. Fine. So dirty dozen coming to this, and therefore we come to, is it visible in white color? No problem, even at the back. So the first major international agreement we are doing is the Stockholm Convention. Fine. Now, how to study the international agreements? Except if it is related to the climate change, it will not come in the mains. Fine. And because it is not coming in the mains, you should know the year of signing, the year it became effective. This too, last 3 year के जो क्वेश्चन आ रहे उसके कारण, नहीं तो यूपीएससी पहले ये भी नहीं पूछता था. And you should know whether it is binding or not binding. Generally most are binding, unless I make you write it is not binding. जिसमें word protocol is there, it is obviously binding. Fine. जिसमें word convention is there, it may be binding, it not may be binding. And then you should do what is the major objective. So maximum 5-6 लाइन याद करनी है. Don't go into details of this convention. अभी तक यूपीएससी will ask you POP, PIC, transboundary, match the column. So POP, persistent organic pollutants, मतलब Stockholm Convention. Prior information consent, मतलब Rotterdam Convention. Transboundary movement of hazardous substances, मतलब Basel Convention. Fine. बस इसके आगे यूपीएससी गई नहीं है. फिर आगे यूपीएससी एक स्टेप आगे गई है. From 2010 to 2016 they give you HCFCs, Eldrin, BFCs, HFCs. Which of the following are not the part of Montreal Protocol? So अभी तो HFC भी है. So उसमें आंसर इज एल्ड्रीन. मतलब यू हैव टू रिमेंबर कौन सा क्योटो में है, कौन सा मॉन्ट्रियल में है, कौन सा स्टॉकहोम में है. बेसल का कोई याद रखने की जरूरत नहीं. फाइन. सो दिस आर द 3 इंपॉर्टेंट कन्वेंशंस. मिनामाटा फॉर मर्क्यूरी एक ही है, वेरी सिंपल टू रिमेंबर. ब्लू बेबी डिजीज, नाइट्रेट पोल्यूशन will come in pollution. Montreal में yes, these are the gases which will harm the ozone layer. Kyoto में these are the greenhouse gases which are there in Kyoto and Paris. And then जो अजीब से वर्ड्स लगेंगे जो कभी आपने सुने नहीं है, दे आर ऑल इन स्टॉकहोम. फाइन. हेक्साक्लोरोबेंजीन, जो इंडस्ट्रियल कॉम्प्लेक्स केमिकल्स लगेंगे, दे आर ऑल बिंदास मार्क करके आना स्टॉकहोम. फाइन. सो स्टॉकहोम कन्वेंशन is the convention on bioaccumulants. Is a convention on bioaccumulants which are known as persistent organic pollutants, which are known as persistent organic pollutants. See, the word is persistent because they will stay in our body. Persistent organic pollutants. It was signed in 2001. It was signed in 2001 and came into force in 2004. And came into force in 2004. Came into force in 2004. Under United Nations, it deals with banning the pollutants known as dirty dozen. Deals with banning the pollutants known as dirty dozen. Known as dirty dozen. And these are DDT. These are DDT, comma, hexachlorobenzene. Hexachlorobenzene. क्या है hexachlorobenzene? Insecticide, fungicide. Agriculture background. It is fungicide. Aldrin, you will have to remember there is no choice. Aldrin, Deldrin, Deldrin, Endrin. So देखो जितने भी ड्रिन से है ऑल आर इन स्टॉकहोम, जिसमें रिन है ऑल आर इन स्टॉकहोम. स्पेलिंग विलिंग याद करके क्या करोगे, प्रीलिम्स का है, स्पेलिंग विल बी गिवन. फाइन. सो डेल्ट्रिल एल्ट्रिन जितने भी रिन से है ऑल आर इन स्टॉकहोम. पीसीबी, पीसीबी पॉली क्लोरिनेटेड बाय फिनाइल Lysol, Bizol. So polychlorinated biphenyl. Myrex, important. Last year you must have heard some of the farmers in the Yavatmal district died as soon as they touched the insecticide, pesticide. So Myrex, a derivative of Myrex, जिसने जिसने स्प्रे किया और बिना हाथ धोए खाना खाने गया, they all died. So that is, this is Myrex. Myrex. Heptachlor, हेप्टाक्लोर. कितने हो गए? 8. These are the 8 to remember. You don't have to remember all 12. Right? These are the commonly asked because these are the most important. Again very easy. उसमें से 3 are in rin, एक is already DDT, 2 is, one is this hexachlorobenzene, नाम से ही लगता है कुछ तो dangerous है. Fine. Then polychlorinated, you have to remember phenyl. Fine. दो current affairs based, Myrex and heptachlor. Myrex and heptachlor are based on current affairs. Maharashtra, Telangana, Andhra. Fine. Cotton, mirchi, chili. दोनों जगह death. Fine. To the farmers. Next. In the year 2011, endosulfan was added to the list. In the year 2011, endosulfan was added to the list. So this is the Stockholm Convention. This all is about phasing out, banning what? Persistent organic pollutants. Most of the commonly used insecticides and pesticides, in India have to be mandatorily labeled or compulsorily labeled under insecticide, under the Insecticide Act of 1968 and the Insecticide Rules of 1971. Insecticide Act of 1968 and rules of 71. 68 and 71. अब कैसे देखो क्वेश्चन आएगा, मोस्ट ऑफ जैसे BEE पे एक मैंने क्वेश्चन दिखाया, वैसे एक क्वेश्चन बाकी है ऑन द टॉक्सिसिटी लेबल. So this is, and they will ask you who does it. Under Environment Protection Act, under the Wildlife Protection Act, what? Under the Biodiversity Protection Act, under the Industrial Act, नहीं. Specific act है उसके लिए, Insecticide Act of 1971. Fine with this? एंड कौन से लेबल्स है, किस किस पे लेबल है. सो दिस इज हाउ द सिंबल इज, एंड नीचे का कलर अलग होता है. सो इफ द कलर इज ग्रीन, द कलर कैन बी येलो. 4 कलर्स आर यूज्ड. जैसे एक क्वेश्चन आ चुका था, ओलंपिक के रिंग्स में कितने कलर्स यूज होते हैं. जिस साल ओलंपिक था, दे हैड यूज्ड ओलंपिक के रिंग्स में कितने कलर्स है. मेंस में पूछा था वो भी ये. एंड व्हाट डज वन रिंग्स, ईच एंड एवरी रिंग सिग्निफाई. फाइन. GK based questions hai. This is what a GK based questions will be. So they can ask you this toxicity label. So green color hai, blue color hai, yellow color hai, and red color hai. So what does the green color signify? Non toxic. So you can take down green color means slightly toxic. Slightly toxic. Green label means slightly toxic. कहाँ पे यूज होता है ग्रीन? आपके घर में जाके देखना गुड नाइट पे क्या है, वेदर इट इज ग्रीन और वेदर इट इज ब्लू. ऑल आउट पे क्या है? ग्रीन मीन्स स्लाइटली टॉक्सिक. नेक्स्ट, ब्लू लेबल. सी दैट इज व्हाई आई एम सेइंग कि डरो मत, कुछ नहीं होने वाला, ये सिर्फ पढ़ाई करके भूल जाओ. बिकॉज मच्छरों या फिर टॉक्सिसिटी, चॉइस इज अगेन यूर्स. ब्लू लेबल, मॉडरेटली टॉक्सिक. Moderately toxic. Yellow label, highly toxic. Example, endosulfan. Example, endosulfan. And red label, extremely toxic. Extremely toxic. Example, zinc phosphide. Example, zinc phosphide. Zinc phosphides. Zinc phosphide. Where it is used? Zinc phosphide. You will be surprised to know where it is used. Yes, rat killers. Zinc phosphide is used to kill household rodents such as rats. Household such as land, and it is used as a film or ऊपर का covering on photovoltaic cells. Label or a thin coating, not label, coating or film on the photovoltaic cells, because it has strong absorption property. Because it has the strong absorption property. Therefore solar cells में and rodenticides में, फंगिसाइड जैसे rodenticides में. Rodenticides means जो भी लक्ष्मण रेखा है, या बेस्ट एग्जांपल इज Mortine. Mortine is going to use this. Now इसके अंदर as per the government of India, 1 to 50 milligrams per kg, 1 to even 1 milligrams, कुछ में किसी में 50 milligrams per kg of red label insecticides and pesticides are lethal. Red label insecticides and pesticides are lethal. Begon spray सब इतना नहीं, because it can be yellow label or it can be blue label. Fine. When did it come into force? It came into force. So DDT के ऊपर बैन क्यों आया था? Can someone tell me? There was a famous book written जिससे DDT का, this was साइलेंट स्प्रिंग, किसी ने सुना है बुक का नाम? What it was? साइलेंट स्प्रिंग, जिससे सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट स्टार्ट हुआ. It was a famous book regarding the DDT poisoning. The company wanted to kill the author, Rachel Spring, but somehow she survived. बाहर आके she could publish the book. None of the bigger publications of the world wanted to publish the book, so उसने पेपर रिलीज किया and पेपर बाद में बुक बन गया, which is known as Silent Spring, because none of the big publications wanted to go into enmity with Bayer. Fine. So उससे DDT came into force, and DDT से क्या problems हुआ came. 1970s की बात है. So in this year, after that, what the rich countries started doing, the rich countries started packing all their pollutants and putting them in the ship and sending it to the developing nations. हम क्यों एक्सेप्ट करने लग गए? हम पोल्यूटेंट्स को नहीं एक्सेप्ट करने लगे. वी स्टार्टेड एक्सेप्टिंग द शिप फॉर शिप बिल्डिंग या फॉर भंगार इंडस्ट्री. Fine, for breaking, because India has the largest ship breaking yard in Gujarat, which is known as Alang, जहाँ पे the average, if you are working in Alang का ship breaking yard, the average lifespan is 26 years. 26 years के बाद you cannot survive. So that Alang का ship breaking yard is there in Gujarat, and therefore now the developing countries came together कि ये ऐसे कैसे, you are dumping the pollutants, not dumping the goods, you are dumping the pollutants, and therefore the next convention that came to stop the dumping of pollutants was known as Basel Convention. Therefore किस स्टोरी याद रखो, आपको आंसर पता है. डंपिंग रोकने के लिए, so we are saying that it is trans-boundary movement of, so Basel Convention is on trans-boundary movement of hazardous waste and their disposal. Trans-boundary movement of hazardous waste and their disposal. Hazardous waste and their disposal. It came to stop the dumping of hazardous chemicals from developed to developing nations. Hazardous chemical from developed to developing nations. Developed to developing nations. Most of the pollutants are covered under the Basel Convention, except radioactive waste. मतलब you cannot obviously transfer the radioactive waste. Radioactive waste हमें country के अंदर ही dispose करना पड़ता है, क्योंकि radioactive waste अगर transfer किया, see it is again very logical. It is applicable to each and every pollutant except radioactive waste. क्यों नहीं radioactive waste? चाइना कहेगा कि ये हमारा radioactive waste है, हम पाकिस्तान को भेज रहे. क्या भेजेगा? enriched uranium. Fine? या क्या भेजेगा? enriched, that is कोरिया के लिए और किसी एक कंट्री के लिए जिसको उनको देना है. फाइन. बेसल कन्वेंशन इज अगेंस्ट टॉक्सिक colonialism, is against the toxic colonialism. Example, famous cocoa case. Italy used to transfer every month 8,000 barrels of most dangerous pollutants to Nigeria and used to give Nigerian government a rent of $100. जो $100 जो नाइजीरियन गवर्नमेंट अपने फार्मर्स में बांटता था, फिर क्यों? वेस्ट डिस्पोज ऑफ करने के लिए. सो दिस इज व्हाट इज द 1988 में, एंड देयरफॉर 1989 में वी हैव द बेसल कन्वेंशन. फाइन. एंड देन द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट अगेन is Rotterdam Convention. 89. 1989 signed, effective or came into force 1992. बेसल कन्वेंशन 89 साइंड, केम इनटू फोर्स 1992. अगर आपको याद रखना है एक ही तो रिमेंबर साइंड, नॉट केम इनटू फोर्स. फाइन. Even that you should remember in which year it was signed. Except for Kyoto Protocol, you have to remember both. बाइंडिंग है, जो जो सिग्नेटरीज है उन सबको बाइंडिंग है. ये तीनों स्टॉकहोम में 158 इन तीनों में सेम सिग्नेटरीज है. जो स्टॉकहोम को साइन करता है वो बेसल एंड रॉटरडम को साइन करता है. यस यस, लीगल पेनल्टी है, इट इज लीगली बाइंडिंग. Rotterdam Convention. What is this Rotterdam Convention? Can someone tell me? इंडिया में शिप आनी चाहिए कि नहीं? बेसल कन्वेंशन. अब दिस इज इंडियन वाटर्स, दिस इज द एक्सक्लूसिव इकोनॉमिक जोन ऑफ इंडिया, एंड इस एक्सक्लूसिव इकोनॉमिक जोन ऑफ इंडिया से सपोज अ शिप इज नॉट कमिंग टुवर्ड्स इंडिया, then also whether the ship should be able to pass through Indian waters or not. कि सपोज इट इज पासिंग थ्रू इंडियन वाटर्स एंड यहाँ पे एक्सीडेंट होके पूरी मरीन लाइफ फिर डिस्ट्रॉय हो जाएगी. फाइन. सो इफ इट इज कैरिंग एनी टॉक्सिक केमिकल्स, द शिप हैज टू टेक द परमिशन ऑफ द कंट्री वेदर इट शुड पास थ्रू उसका टेरिटोरियल वाटर्स और नॉट, एंड दैट इज डिटरमाइंड बाय द रॉटर कन्वेंशन विच इज नोन एज प्रायर इन्फॉर्म्ड consent. Rotterdam Convention is on, यूपीएससी क्या पूछता है? PIC, Prior Informed Consent Procedure for certain hazardous chemicals and pesticides. Prior informed consent procedure for certain hazardous chemicals and pesticides in international trade. Signed in 2004. And effective, signed in 1998 and effective 2004. हेडक्वार्टर्स कहाँ पे होगा? रॉटरडैम. सो रॉटरडैम इज वन ऑफ द फेमस पोर्ट, गेटवे ऑफ यूरोप. हमने किया था ऑन द रिवर राइन. Current affairs. In the recent meeting of Rotterdam Convention, Canada has objected to list asbestos fibers as pollutants. मतलब हमें ये नहीं याद रखना है हमें याद रखना है व्हाट आर द इम्पैक्ट्स ऑफ एस्बेस्टॉस पोल्यूशन. फाइन. इसलिए हिंदू में एक एडिटोरियल था रिगार्डिंग द एस्बेस्टॉस पोल्यूशन. सितंबर 2018 की बात है ये. फाइन. एस्बेस्टॉस पोल्यूशन. फाइन विद दिस. बामाको कन्वेंशन. बामाको कन्वेंशन. It is a convention on control of transboundary movement and management, transboundary movement and management of hazardous waste, including radioactive waste. What is the difference here? Including radioactive waste. पहले में radioactive waste was not there. Including the radioactive waste. Within Africa only. Or for Africa only. With or for Africa only. Africa only. क्यों मैंने इंक्लूड किया? Because they can give you a simple statement like this. Basel Convention is for the, or Rotterdam Convention is for कुछ भी. Transboundary के लिए obviously it is the Basel Convention. Basel Convention is for the transboundary movement of hazardous waste, including radioactive materials within the world. No. Excluding the radioactive materials. And Bamako Convention is for hazardous waste including radioactive materials but only for Africa. सबसे पहले ये बामाको कन्वेंशन, उसके बाद बेसल कन्वेंशन, क्योंकि ये स्टार प्रॉब्लम कहाँ देखा गया? नाइजीरिया में. एंड नाइजीरिया इज एन अफ्रीकन नेशन. फाइन. ईयर चाहिए? कोई जरूरत नहीं है ईयर की. लिखना है तो लिखो 1991. वैसे याद रखने की जरूरत नहीं है. या पोको केस. Understand, this is how you should study. Nutrient, not nurient. It is nutrient cycle. Finding the subject easy? Very easy. रुको, नाइट्रोजन साइकिल पे आने दो हमें. So it is not that factual जितना डर है लोगों में regarding the environment and ecology. The only thing is you should remember it's with some background. It becomes very easy. यही backgrounds are not given in the books, इसलिए ऐसा लगता है ये क्या facts हम पढ़ रहे हैं, कितने signatories है, पता होना चाहिए क्या पढ़ना है क्या नहीं पढ़ना है. That is why we always go through that 200 questions which you have got. हम past year का question set paper खत्म करते ही will start from Tuesday with the new questions which are then taken from the various books. So these are the past year questions because ये subject तभी आसान होगा when you solve it on the daily basis the questions. Fine. So when we say nutrient cycling, that is the second function of an ecosystem. एक है energy, second is एक है ecological succession, we have finished with two, and the application of ecological succession, and third is the nutrient cycling. That is how the nutrients are taken from the atmosphere or from the rocks. So when it is taken from the atmosphere, it is known as gaseous cycle. When it is taken from the rocks, whether along the oceanic crust or whether along the continental crust, it is known as an sedimentary cycle. Which is faster and which is more effective? Gaseous cycle. How it is faster? Oxygen, carbon dioxide. हो गया carbon cycle. Fine. You take in oxygen, you give out carbon dioxide. This is what is the carbon cycle. But sulfur is not. Sulfur के लिए you will have to plant the tree, the banana tree, especially banana tree has to take up potassium and sulfur. फिर banana खाओ. Therefore then it will digest, and therefore this is a time consuming process. This is a faster cycle. Except एक इसमें है nitrogen cycle. Nitrogen is not direct because nitrogen needs to be fixed, and because मतलब it needs to be fixed मतलब क्या? The nitrogen has to be converted into ammonia, ammonia into nitrites, nitrites into nitrates, nitrates then will be taken up into amino acids. इस step में से जाता है nitrogen, and therefore nitrogen cycle is complex. But the carbon cycle and hydrological cycle are very very easy. Nitrogen cycle is complex, but ये किया जाता है by nitrogen fixing bacteria. They will take the nitrogen and put it in the plants. And nitrogen is important because it is urea or nitrates. Fine. So इसलिए जो bacteria will take up the nitrogen from the atmosphere and fix it, हमें उन्हीं को हम कहते हैं nitrogen fixing bacteria or biofertilizers. Biological fertilizers. कहाँ पे मिलते हैं? On the root nodules of leguminous plants. Spirulina, Azotobacter, Rhizobium, Anabaena. So this all are an nitrogen fixing bacteria. उसके बाद once the nitrogen is fixed, once the nitrogen is taken up, this nitrogen is used by our body, and excess of carbon dioxide तो हम दे सकते हैं बाहर. But what about excess of nitrogen in our body? कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड एक्सेस अगर होगा तो कुछ नहीं, फैट में कन्वर्ट हो जाएगा. दैट इज द कार्बोहाइड्रेट्स. फाइन. बट व्हाट अबाउट एक्सेस नाइट्रोजन इन आवर बॉडी? नाइट्रोजन मेक्स प्रोटीन्स, एंड एक्सेस ऑफ नाइट्रोजन इन आवर बॉडी विल बी गिवन आउट एज वेस्ट. ह्यूमन वेस्ट, ऑर्गेनिक वेस्ट, या कोई भी ऑर्गेनिक वेस्ट इज नाइट्रोजिनियस वेस्ट. इसलिए याद करना, अटाकामा डेजर्ट में दे विल पिक द बर्ड वेस्ट एंड एक्सपोर्ट इट एज अ नाइट्रोजिनियस फर्टिलाइजर. Most of this waste is in the form of ammonia or urea. इसलिए smell आता है in bathrooms. That is the smell of ammonia. Fine. अब once this waste is given, उस nitrates को, nitrogenous waste को break करना है, तोड़ना है, so that वो फिर से nitrogen बन जाएगा. That is why it is cycle. Nitrogen लेना, change करना और फिर से nitrogen बनाना. So the bacteria जिसको जो which will make that nitrates genous waste into nitrogen again and release it back, उनका application है राजधानी एंड शताब्दी ट्रेन्स में as bio toilets. उनका application है in planes as bio toilets. उनका application is there as the toilet waterless urinals. Fine. So waterless urinals etc. will all apply in this. Why? Because they use the technique of bioremediation. So what the government has done to save the water. Why we require water in the toilet? सबसे पहले just to break down the waste, just not to break down the waste, ताकि ये waste निकल जाए, and then it is put in the sludge tank, and sludge tank में it will be broken down. पानी की वैसे ज़रूरत नहीं होती. Fine. So water is not required except. So water can be saved in the toilets. So water can be saved. इसलिए flights में जब जाते हो आप, you don't see water there. You push, vacuum is done. It will clean and it will release the microorganisms, that is this bacteria, which will help in breaking down, and they will release the nitrogen back to the soil. What about the nitrogen that has not been released back to the soil? उसको फेंका जाता है फ्लाइट्स में से. And then comes the concept of blue ice. What is this concept of blue ice? The waste that is given out from planes, because as soon as it is thrown out from the planes, बाहर temperature इतना कम है कि it gets converted into ice, and then ऊपर से धीरे धीरे वो नीचे आता है, and then कभी कभी आपको लगता है that ये पानी का बूंद कहाँ से गिरा, आसमान तो साफ. So that is their blue ice. Have you experienced? Everyone has experienced blue ice. पानी का बूंद जो ऊपर से गिरता है कभी कभी अचानक, that is a blue ice. So it is, ऊपर ice has been released, नीचे आते नाते it is getting converted and it becomes water. Thankfully we are tropics, so it gets converted into water. In temperate, direct snowfall from that region will occur here. So इसीलिए NGT has banned the disposal of blue ice in the sky, because क्या होता था, बहुत सारे the flights, especially the international flights, air space पे आके, जहाँ जिस countries में ban नहीं है, they used to throw away the blue ice from ऊपर. वो सब garbage, food waste, organic waste, toilet, वो सब आके फिर नीचे गिरता था. And हरियाणा में एक केस हुआ where a large amount of blue ice came, and 8.5 kg का that blue ice came and it fell down on the farm. Luckily that person was not there, but he could hear the voice. जब अपना क्लास शुरू था तभी की बात है ये. So it came and it fell down. पहले लगा एस्ट्रॉइड है, सॉरी meteor है. They went, यहाँ से जियोलॉजिकल से सारे गए, and then they realized कि कुछ नहीं, this is a blue ice. So उसके बाद NGT came up with the ban कि you should be banning the throwing of blue ice. So what is this blue ice? All is an application part of nitrogen cycle. So nitrogen cycle में understand 3 application: bio toilets, bio urinals, bio remediation, blue ice, and nitrogen fixation, that is bio fertilizers. But सबसे important is the carbon cycle. And carbon cycle का application is more and more important, especially because IPCC का report has been released. See, nitrogen does not react. It is not, you can say, as good as the noble gases जो बिल्कुल react नहीं करेंगे, but nitrogen cannot be used directly. On other hand, carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, or carbon cycle from the atmosphere, which is generally represented with the help of carbon dioxide, but it will include methane also. Naturally methane भी present है, monoxide नहीं आएगा. Anything that consists in the carbon is taken up by the world, is taken up by the process of photosynthesis. By plants as a source of food. From the plants, it is either given in the soil, it is stored as, but the plants will take in the carbon as a photosynthesis, it will store it as wood, food or the carbon is stored as a wood in the plants. After that it is taken in the soil, carbonate rocks. Fine, some of the carbon dioxide is stored in the soil, especially in the deep soil. So इसलिए understand करो कि क्यों zero tillage is good for carbon sequestration or climate. Because अगर deep soil disturb नहीं किया तो carbon dioxide won't be released back. It will remain stored in the soil. It is passed to animals in the form of carbohydrates, and some of this carbon dioxide is locked as fossil fuels. Getting it everyone यहाँ तक? And this is how the carbon dioxide का removal का एक ही process है from the atmosphere, that is the photosynthesis. Now यहाँ पे हम सब natural करेंगे, यहाँ पे हम सब human being करेंगे. How the carbon dioxide is released back to the atmosphere? The carbon dioxide is released back to the atmosphere by the process of respiration and death and decay of organic matter. Respiration, death and decay of organic matter. Understanding? It is giving back. So when we are doing respiration, we are taking in oxygen and giving out what? Carbon dioxide. So respiration is the process. Even the plants do respiration. दिन में photosynthesis, रात में respiration. इसलिए आपको कहते हैं कि रात के समय don't go near the plants. अब कोई सुनेगा नहीं scientifically तो कहते हैं plants सो रहे हैं. Don't disturb them. Fine, but they are engaging in respiration. उसमें से एक प्लांट है जो कम respiration करता है and more photosynthesis करता है, that is people. So जब when it is doing less respiration, it is giving out large amount of carbon dioxide. So इसलिए रात को पीपल के पेड़ के ऊपर भूत रहता है. Don't go. Understanding this why the stories are taken? It is given out by soil or from the rocks. Back by the process of weathering or by the process of volcanic eruptions. By the process of both weathering and volcanic eruptions. Understanding the cycle. अगर ये confusing लग रहा है तो animals यहाँ लिख दो, soil and rocks यहाँ लिख दो, so the arrows won't intersect. Understanding how carbon dioxide is taken, photosynthesis, how it is given out, 4 process, respiration, second death and decay of organic matter, third weathering of the soil or weathering of the rocks, and fourth volcanic eruptions. But nowadays, the amount of carbon dioxide has increased because of burning of fossil fuels by human beings, and therefore as the amount of carbon dioxide has increased, we call it as a global warming. Books में you won't find the other side, but if this comes in the main examination, do make the other side. यही naturally है books में. So make the other side. You show कि natural and anthropogenic. Understood this diagram, everyone? How the carbon dioxide is taken and how it is released back to the atmosphere. This is what is the carbon cycle. Everyone? No doubt? I guess we have solved a question also regarding this. So we have even solved a question regarding this. Fine? कोई doubt इसमें? No? So take down. Carbon cycle is an example of an gaseous cycle. Carbon cycle is an example of gaseous cycle. किसी को और ज्यादा डिटेल में पढ़ना है तो यू कैन गो थ्रू 12th बायो एनसीईआरटी. डोंट गो थ्रू शंकर आईएएस. थोड़ा कॉम्प्लिकेटेड वे में दिया है, बट आई डोंट थिंक इसके बाद डिटेल में पढ़ने की जरूरत पड़ेगी. इज एन एग्जांपल ऑफ एन गैसियस साइकिल, एंड लाइक एनी अदर गैसियस साइकिल, क्योंकि मैंने इंट्रोडक्शन नहीं दिया, इट इज एन एग्जांपल ऑफ इंस्टेंट एंड एफिशिएंट साइकिल. is an example of instant and efficient cycle. ये इसलिए क्योंकि प्रीलिम्स के याद रखना, gaseous cycle are instant and more efficient as compared to the sedimentary cycle. Next, यहाँ से important point शुरू होते हैं. Carbon is a minor constituent of the atmosphere. Carbon is a minor constituent of the atmosphere. क्यों माइनर? 0.03%. कितना है नाइट्रोजन? 78%. कितना है ऑक्सीजन? 21%. माइनर कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट ऑफ द एटमॉस्फेयर. बट लाइफ कैनॉट एग्जिस्ट विदाउट कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड. लाइफ कैनॉट एग्जिस्ट विदाउट कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड. टेल मी, ज्योग्राफी, why life cannot exist without carbon dioxide? Option number 1, it forms the basic, that is the food. Photosynthesis is required for food. Second, photosynthesis का outcome is oxygen. Fine. So it supplies oxygen. अगर photosynthesis नहीं तो oxygen नहीं world में. सो फूड के लिए, ऑक्सीजन के लिए. एंड थर्ड, अगर कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड नहीं होता तो वर्ल्ड का टेम्परेचर वुड हैव बीन वेरी वेरी कोल्ड. फाइन. इट इज बिकॉज ऑफ द कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड देयर इज वार्म. फाइन विद दिस, नो नीड ऑफ रिपीटिंग अगेन. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट, इट इज इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर द प्रोडक्शन ऑफ कार्बोहाइड्रेट्स. It is important for the production of carbohydrates. Through the process of photosynthesis, and is an important element that is found in coal to DNA. कोल, COAL, कोल से डीएनए तक. डीएनए में भी कार्बन है, कोल में भी कार्बन है. वेरी कॉमन लाइन, हर बुक में लाइन कॉमन है, क्योंकि ये लाइन है ऑफ वन ऑफ द फेमस ऑथर ऑफ दिस एनवायरमेंट इकोलॉजी, जिससे बायो के एनसीईआरटी ने लिया. बायो के एनसीईआरटी ने शंकर आईएएस से लिया, शंकर आईएएस से पीएमएफआईएएस ने लिया, मैंने लिया. सो ओवर द पीरियड ऑफ टाइम यू विल फाइंड दिस इन ईच एंड एवरी नोट्स. फाइन. सो दिस इज देयरफॉर, वहां से ही यूपीएससी ने एक क्वेश्चन पूछा है सेम. सो इट कम्स फ्रॉम ऑडनेम. ऑडनेम इज वन ऑफ द मोस्ट फेमस बुक ऑन द एनवायरमेंट एंड इकोलॉजी. not required for our exam because it is an international book. Our exam is based on current affairs. Next. Carbon dioxide is removed by the process of photosynthesis. Carbon dioxide is removed as the process by the process of photosynthesis. And it is given out by respiration, death and decomposition, by weathering of rocks rich in carbon dioxide, bracket में carbonate rocks such as limestone, carbonate rocks, and volcanic eruptions, full stop. Some of the carbon is given out by peaty, marshy soil of wetlands and rice fields. Peaty, marshy soils of wetlands and rice fields in the form of methane. Peaty, marshy. Peaty matlab कीचड़, which is rich in carbon. Marshy matlab कीचड़. Peat, कीचड़ rich in carbon. Fine. Peaty, marshy soils of wetlands and rice fields. Fine. Artificial causes. Can I say transportation sector? Burning of fossil fuels. Artificial causes of what? Release of carbon dioxide. क्योंकि निकालने का तो एक ही जरिया है, photosynthesis. Second, agriculture. Yes or no? Yes, agriculture. Due to point number 1, rice fields. Point number 1, rice fields. Point number 2, animal husbandry industry. Point number 2, animal husbandry industry. Point number 3, soil erosion caused by deep tillage and use of heavy machinery. Comma, deforestation, comma, monoculture, which promotes soil degradation, which promotes soil degradation. Next point, point number 4. डिफॉरेस्टेशन से कैसे कार्बन एमिशंस बढ़ रहे हैं? What is decreasing is photosynthesis, and therefore carbon emissions are increasing. Point number 4. Construction and mining industry. Construction and mining industry. Construction and mining industry, which is associated with the breaking down and weathering of the rocks. Associated with the breaking down and weathering of the rocks. अब करंट अफेयर्स लिखना वहां पे, मतलब एक हिंदू का आर्टिकल, यू ऑल हैव स्टडीड दैट. एक काऊ का आर्टिकल था जिसमें जैसे दिस काऊ यूरिन इज रिच इन कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड एंड नाइट्रस ऑक्साइड. फाइन. एक था आर्टिकल की हाउ काऊ यूरिन इज कॉजिंग ग्लोबल वार्मिंग. फाइन. इफ यू रिमेंबर, कुछ 3-4 महीने पहले आर्टिकल था, अ फेमस आर्टिकल देयर. कब था? 1 महीने पहले का आर्टिकल था. कुछ खास नहीं उस आर्टिकल में. यू नो कि एनिमल हस्बेंड्री कॉजेस मीथेन, ग्लोबल वार्मिंग. यू नो दैट नाइट्रोजन साइकिल में वॉट एवर द ऑर्गेनिक वेस्ट इज नाइट्रिक वेस्ट. सो काउ यूरिन इज ऑर्गेनिक वेस्ट. क्या होगा उसमें? नाइट्रिक. टू मच ऑफ नाइट्रस ऑक्साइड्स, ग्लोबल वार्मिंग. टू मच ऑफ नाइट्रस ऑक्साइड्स, द acid rainfall, because nitrous and sulfur and carbon are associated with the acid rainfall. So कुछ अलग नहीं है उस आर्टिकल का पढ़ने के लिए. फाइन. सो करंट अफेयर्स में नोट डाउन व्हाई एनिमल हस्बेंड्री इंडस्ट्री इज एसोसिएटेड विथ methane emissions. Because ruminants, क्या क्या आता है ruminants में? Tell me yes or no. Cow, buffalo, sheep, goat, dogs, camel. So take ruminants such as cattle में सब आ गए. Cattle, sheep, goats, deer and camels. ये है 5 कैटेगरी ऑफ ruminants and camels. Have microorganisms or have microbes known as which have known as methanogens in their stomach. In their stomach. क्यों? हमारे पेट में क्यों नहीं है? क्योंकि हम कच्चा लीफी वेजिटेबल नहीं खाते. मतलब अगर आप रेगुलरली, हमें थोड़ा पकाना ही पड़ता है. सलाड में भी थोड़ा पका के खाओगे. सो वॉट एवर दिस हुआर इट्स कोर्स प्लांट मटेरियल्स. सी पालक बिलक इज डिफरेंट. आप डायरेक्टली जाके कोई भी प्लांट नहीं खाते. सो दोज हु इट्स कोर्स प्लांट मटेरियल, उनके फॉर एड द डाइजेशन there is methanogens. And what is the word methanogens means? What they will be giving out? Methane. Fine. So this methanogens are capable of digesting coarse plant material, which gives out methane as an byproduct of digestion. As digestion, unka digestion is known as enteric fermentation. Note down this in the bracket. So the digestion in cattle is known as enteric fermentation. क्यों मैंने दिया? अभी रिपोर्ट पब्लिश हुआ था in the month of December that 11% of methane emissions are due to animal husbandry industry. Rice से only 2% methane emissions. What is being blamed is rice. कितने करता है? Only 2%. What is the real cause? Animal husbandry. So who is the culprit? US. अर्जेंटीना, जहाँ पे एनिमल हस्बेंड्री इंडस्ट्री इज देयर. ब्लेम किसको कर रहे थे? इंडिया एंड चाइना. क्या कह रहे थे? आप अपना राइस लेना बंद कर दो, उससे ग्लोबल वार्मिंग हो रहा है. They were asking us to stop the rice production. तो राइस लेके क्यों? ये हम उनका मक्का खाते रहेंगे. फाइन. कौन? सो द रिपोर्ट केम आउट सेइंग कि राइस तो सिर्फ 2%. पहले आप आपकी बीफ इंडस्ट्री बंद करो, बिकॉज बीफ इंडस्ट्री बाय द प्रोसेस ऑफ एंट्रिक फर्मेंटेशन विल गिव आउट द मीथेन. 11% मीथेन एमिशंस आर कॉज्ड ड्यू टू दिस एंट्रिक फर्मेंटेशन. Solutions of reducing this. Enriching. So क्या करेंगे इसके लिए? Again, see, solutions are not important, but I am just giving you that article जिसमें solutions are given. वैसे solutions is कि उसका digestive process easy कर दो. मतलब उनको you can say इसब गोल के जैसा कुछ supplement दे दो, और you can say उनको what you say that famous कायम चूर्ण की tablets जैसे दो कुछ tablets दे दो, उसका नाम सिर्फ अलग हो जाएगा. Fine. So adding supplements such as synthetic chemicals, more fats and oils, and natural supplements such as seaweeds reduces methane emissions. Seaweed 80% reduction, fat and oil 15% reduction in methane emissions. जिसको लिखना है लिखो, otherwise not needed. Seaweed देने से it has been reduced by 80%. So conclusion में लिखना, therefore traditional Indian farmers feed oil cake to the cattle. मतलब ये जो कार्बन एमिशन, ग्रीन हाउस वार्मिंग, ये ट्रेडिशनली इंडिया को पहले से ही पता था. दिस वाज लाइक दिस, मींस आवर कल्चर वाज लाइक दिस. क्या हुआ? वेस्टर्न कंट्रीज केम एंड सेड, अरे आप तो पागल हो, देखो हम सेरेलैक देते हैं बच्चों को, हम हॉर्लिक्स देते हैं बच्चों को, हम ओट्स खाते हैं, एंड दस देयरफॉर आपका एग्रीकल्चर प्रोडक्टिविटी इज लेस एक्सेट्रा. आज फिर से आ गया कि डोंट गिव सेरेलैक, मदर्स मिल्क इज द बेस्ट. आज फिर से आ गया ऑयल केक इज द बेस्ट. देयर इज नो नीड ऑफ एडिटिव्स. ऑयल केक इज अ बाय प्रोडक्ट ऑफ ऑयल सीड्स. इट इज एन बाय प्रोडक्ट ऑफ ऑयल सीड्स. ऑयल निकालने के बाद what to do with the oil seeds? So it is converted, mixed with millets and makes an oil cake. So it is So what is an oil cake? After the extraction of oil from the oil seeds, after the extraction of oil from the oil seeds, good is mixed with the oil seeds. Good, jaggery plus gram plus oil seed makes an oil cake. कहाँ पे यूज करोगे? यूज इन मेंस. वाई ड्राई लैंड फार्मिंग में डबलिंग फार्मर्स इनकम कैसे कर सकते हैं? वी डोंट हैव टू इंपोर्ट द antibiotics to increase the milk production. We should encourage farmers to grow millets and oil seeds, not only wheat and rice. And sugar industry का solution, problems का solution, and sell oil cakes. India को नहीं, पूरे world को बेचो. Fine? In the name of sustainable agriculture. देखो, प्लास्टिक बैन होते ही इंडिया का फायदा था, बिकॉज प्लास्टिक के बाद द सोल्यूशन इज जूट. हमें सिर्फ जूट को पैकेज करके बेचना था कि देखो इट इज अ सॉल्यूशन फॉर ऑल, गोल्डन फाइबर एक्सेट्रा. हमने क्या गलती की? हमने फैशन शो किया जूट के कपड़ों से. नोबडी इज इंटरेस्टेड इन जूट के कपड़े. फाइन, खादी विलेज कारपोरेशन डज फैशन शो एवरी ईयर शोइंग जूट के कपड़े कितने अच्छे बनते हैं. कौन पहनेगा जूट के कपड़े? इट इज सो हैवी. उससे अच्छा जूट के बैग्स थोड़े अट्रैक्टिव पैकिंग में बेचने थे. Oil cakes थोड़े attractive पैकिंग. So remember this as extra points for value addition in your doubling farmers income, in solution to the Indian farmers का agricultural crisis, because we are focusing only on rice and wheat. इसके ऊपर नहीं है. Farmers don't take this because food processing industry नहीं है. So food processing industry can keep on selling all these products. Don't limit yourself only to the environment. Fine? Try to interrelate many of the things. नेचुरल तो होगा ही, नेचुरल तो होगा, बट नेचुरल इज ऑलवेज द नेचर में इतना ही एमिशंस होगा, नेचर कैन कंट्रोल इट. ह्यूमन बींग्स डू टू सच एन एक्सटेंट क्या वी कैन नॉट कंट्रोल इट. सी यू ऑलरेडी नो द इम्पैक्ट्स. टेल मी वेदर इट इज एन इम्पैक्ट और नॉट ऑफ इंक्रीजिंग कार्बन एमिशंस. ग्लोबल वार्मिंग, yes. Ocean acidification, yes. More El Nino, La Nina like phenomena, yes. So 7 साल के बाद आना चाहिए. Last year was El Nino, La Nina year. This year is an El Nino year. See how it is occurring regularly. मतलब इस साल drought. Getting it? Postpone नहीं होने वाला कि उसका इफेक्ट इंडिया पे नहीं होगा. इंडिया पे इसलिए नहीं होगा बिकॉज वॉट एवर द अल नीनो दैट कम्स इन अर्ली समर्स, इट इज नॉट गोइंग टू अफेक्ट. समंदर तब तक ठंडा हो जाएगा. अल नीनो विच कम्स इन लेट समर्स, अगर मार्च के एंड में एंड अप्रैल में कोई अल नीनो आता है, इट इज गोइंग टू अफेक्ट इंडिया. फाइन, क्योंकि वो भी गर्म रहेगा. हमारा इंडियन ओशन इज ऑल्सो नाउ स्टार्टिंग टू गेट वार्म्ड. सो व्हाट इज द सॉल्यूशन फॉर दिस, फॉर रिड्यूसिंग द कार्बन एमिशंस? What are the solutions for reducing the carbon emissions? डोंट राइट ऑल, पहले के ऊपर 2 ही लिखो, ये सब एप्लीकेशन फाइन ऑफ कार्बन साइकिल. मस्ट हैव गॉन थ्रू या सुना होगा यूएन रेड एंड रेड प्लस, बायोकार्बन फंड इनिशिएटिव. Fine. So all this will come in the application part of the carbon cycle. Green corridors of national highways. So we'll first come to geoengineering. What, by this process of geoengineering, we create natural and artificial carbon sink so that we can store and capture and store the carbon dioxide. The process of capturing and storing the carbon dioxide is known as carbon sequestration. When you capture and store the process of carbon dioxide by doing afforestation, it is an creation of natural carbon sink. But by the process of geological engineering, जो मैंने short form में लिखा है geoengineering, when you capture the carbon dioxide and store it in the deep rocks, then it is known as an artificial carbon sequestration. Fine with this? So this is one carbon sequestration, and इसका example हमने किया था in the chapter on plate tectonics, जिसको कहते हैं carb fix project is an example of the, and this is the topic for both mains and prelims, carbon sequestration. So take down, very important, the natural and artificial process. The natural and artificial process by which carbon dioxide is removed from the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide is removed from the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide is removed from the atmosphere and stored in liquid or solid form. In liquid or solid form. With the goal of reducing global warming and climate change. Global warming and climate change is known as carbon sequestration. Is known as carbon sequestration. Is known as carbon sequestration. Carbon sequestration is also the best way to reduce the pollution. Carbon sequestration is also the best way to reduce the pollution. Reduce the pollution. Fine. Now how to remove this carbon dioxide? एक तो afforestation, natural. First listen here. Ab who will do the afforestation? India says we are going to do the afforestation because that is our nationally determined contribution under the Paris Agreement. Fine. So we are going to increase the forest so that there is more removal of carbon dioxide. इसलिए one of the nationally determined contribution is increase in the additional sink of carbon dioxide by XYZ million tons. मतलब हम इतना अमाउंट ऑफ फॉरेस्ट करेंगे जितना कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड निकाला जाएगा. कार्बन सिंक, क्रिएशन ऑफ कार्बन सिंक मीन्स अफॉरेस्टेशन. अब अफॉरेस्टेशन, सी हाउ वी आर गोइंग टू लिंक इट. हाउ, हु इज गोइंग टू डू द अफॉरेस्टेशन? गवर्नमेंट, yes, forest department. But does India require industry now? Yes. Why? For jobs, for increasing our standard of living. So because India requires industries, some of the industries will be upsari industry, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu में नहीं आ सकती. Some of the industries will have to go into the interior जहाँ पे forest है. Otherwise there will be imbalanced regional development. Some of the industries goes to the densely forested region of Chota Nagpur Plateau, Jharkhand, Vidarbha region, Madhya Pradesh region, etc. So when they come there, they will remove the forest. They will destroy the forest. Once the forest is destroyed, अपना carbon sink तो कम हो गया. So what the government says, it's fine, you destroy the forest, but कितना forest आपने destroy किया ये हमें लिख के दे दो. So XYZ lakhs का forest they have destroyed. So that is the net forest value, which is calculated by some agency. Once they have destroyed the forest, government कहता है you do the afforestation. But private companies say हम afforestation करते बैठे या कंपनी चलाए, right? So government कहता है okay, you don't do afforestation, कितना पैसे का forest destroy किया वो हमें दे दो, and वो पैसे से हम forest लगाएंगे, that is CAMPA, Compensatory Afforestation Management Planning Authority, which is going to do the afforestation. Why compensatory? Because some forest has been destroyed. Idea comes from Bhutan, where you cut a single tree, you have to plant 2 trees. Idea comes from Bhutan again, where a child is born in the family, you have to plant 1 tree. And if a child is born in any member of a royal family, you have to plant 1 lakh trees. So that the natural forest is maintained. Idea comes from Russia, where you cut 1 tree, you have to plant 5 trees. In Canada, where you cut 1 tree, you have to plant 7 trees. So this is what is the compensatory afforestation, national level पे. अब government says to USA or to United Nations कि ठीक है, we are doing the climate change, we are going to increase the number of forest, but China and India कहता है कि हमारा population इतना ज़्यादा है, we require industry. Fine, हमारा population इतना ज़्यादा है कि we require land, and land is not cheap in our country because of population pressure. So we are going to do afforestation. So when United Nations says to the government, do afforestation, it is known as RED, reducing emissions due to deforestation. RED, reduction of emissions due to deforestation. So China and India says we will do afforestation, but afforestation के लिए हमें land खरीदनी पड़ेगी. And हमारे यहाँ पे लोग are very emotional about the land. लैंड का कॉस्ट इज वेरी हाई, हमें लोगों को एम्प्लॉय करना पड़ेगा, हमें उनको पैसे देने पड़ेंगे, हमें इंडस्ट्रियल आउटपुट कम करना पड़ेगा. सो वी आर गोइंग टू डू अफॉरेस्टेशन टू सेव क्लाइमेट, ग्लोबल वार्मिंग, बट हमें पैसे चाहिए फॉर डूइंग अफॉरेस्टेशन. सो यूनाइटेड नेशंस कहता है ठीक है, तुम दोनों को मैं पैसे दे देता हूँ, एंड वो पैसे जब आ जाते हैं तो बन जाता है रेड प्लस. गेटिंग इट, द डिफरेंस बिटवीन रेड एंड रेड प्लस. सो यहाँ से प्राइवेट कंपनी से जब हम देश के अंदर पैसे लेते हैं दैट इज कैंपा, जब हम यूनाइटेड नेशंस से पैसे लेते हैं दैट इट इज रेड प्लस. इंडिया सपोर्ट्स रेड प्लस इनिशिएटिव, इंडिया अपोजेस रेड इनिशिएटिव बिकॉज वी वांट मनी. फाइन, अब वो मनी कैसे आएगा? दिस मनी विल कम एज ग्रीन क्लाइमेट फंड. एंड कौन देगा? ग्लोबल एनवायरमेंट फैसिलिटी, which is under the world. Fine. So this is the very basics. What is the difference between red and red plus? क्योंकि red plus की मीटिंग इंडिया में हुई थी पिछले साल. So that is why red plus is important. See, India and China are saying पैसे दो नहीं तो हम कुछ नहीं करने वाले. सो वो पैसे देगा ग्रीन क्लाइमेट फंड, सिर्फ पैसे का नाम चेंज हो जाएंगे. फाइन, रेड प्लस के लिए आएगा, बायोडाइवर्सिटी कंजर्वेशन के लिए आएगा, क्लाइमेट चेंज के लिए आएगा, टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफर के लिए आएगा. बट बायोडाइवर्सिटी कंजर्वेशन के लिए अगर आएगा तो सम अलग नाम से, बट इन द एंड हम पैसे मांग रहे हैं फ्रॉम डेवलप्ड नेशंस बिकॉज वी आर सेइंग यू आर रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर द क्लाइमेट चेंज. हमें रिस्पॉन्सिबल मत करो, हम तो अभी से पिछले 20 साल से ही डेवलप्ड होना शुरू हो गए. सो द डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज लाइक यूएसए आर सेइंग नहीं, देखो इंडिया एंड चाइना आर द सेकंड लार्जेस्ट प्रोड्यूसर ऑफ ग्रीन एमिशंस. इंडिया एंड चाइना इज सेइंग कब से? 1960s से. आप कब से? 1850s से. सो हु इज मोर रिस्पॉन्सिबल? यू. सो फिजी कहता है डोंट फाइट, हम बैठ के 2020 में सुलझा देंगे ये. और बैठ के सुलझा देना इज तालानोवा डायलॉग. कुछ नहीं, सिर्फ टेक्निकल टर्म्स है. एंड इज ऑल अबाउट ग्रीन क्लाइमेट फंड, क्योंकि ग्रीन क्लाइमेट फंड सेज टू डेवलपिंग नेशंस फ्रॉम डेवलप्ड नेशंस. इसलिए यूएसए कहता है आई एम नॉट अ पार्ट ऑफ Kyoto, I am not a part of Paris, I am not a part of anything related to climate. यूएसए जैसे ही कहता है, कनाडा कहता है मेरा बड़ा भाई निकल गया, even I am not a part of anything. Fine. So the two countries which are not a part of Paris, not a part of Kyoto, USA and Canada. Fine with this? Okay, तो फिर कौन सी एक कंट्री बेचती है? वो कहता है जर्मनी. कहता है ओके आई एम गोइंग टू गिव मनी. $20 बिलियन देता है 2019 में. कितना है टारगेट? 500 बिलियन. बाकी के पैसे कहाँ से आएंगे? नहीं पता. कब तक आने चाहिए? 2020. फाइन. सो दिस आर द व्हाट इज हैपनिंग इन द वर्ल्ड. फिर वो कैटोविस में मिलते हैं, वो डिसाइड करते हैं कि चलो वी हैव लॉन्च यूएनएफसीसी IPCC from the year 1990 and we are going to see कि ये सच्ची में इफेक्टिव था या नहीं. 2020 में हम पहली बार देखेंगे कि whether we have effective or not, and that is the outcome of Katowice. कुछ नहीं हुआ कैटोविस में. एटलीस्ट पेरिस में कुछ तो हुआ था, कैटोविस में कुछ नहीं हुआ है. ताला नवा डायलॉग 1 साल के लिए पोस्टपोन कर दिया. झगड़ा तो होना ही है बिकॉज $20 बिलियन ही आए आउट ऑफ $500 बिलियन. सेकेंड, the Katowice says okay we will relook at what are the strategies etc. and that is what is known as Katowice agreement, जिसको बहुत कंट्रीज ने साइन नहीं किया. इट केम क्यों? क्योंकि 1992 से जो प्रोसेस चल रही है, जो हम इतना पढ़ रहे हैं यहाँ पे, यूपीएससी हर साल पूछ रही है, उसका आपने आउटकम भी देखा नहीं हो. आप 2020 में देखने वाले हो. ऑब्वियसली इट इज गोइंग टू इरिटेट सम ऑफ द मेंबर्स. Imagine you are studying this everything and then the leaders decide ठीक है 1992 से जो चल रहा है 2020 में हम देखेंगे. So cooperation not confrontation. And lastly what comes out कि 1-2 countries फिर आती है, चलो नहीं ऐसा है, so global alliance against coal, international solar alliance, all this. India and France कहता है हमारे यहाँ धूप ज़्यादा है, the international solar alliance. UK कनाडा कहता है हमारा कोल तो खत्म हो चुका है, सो हमें क्या फायदा या नुकसान. सो ग्लोबल अलायंस अगेंस्ट कोल. यूएसए कहता है दोनों पागल है, वी आर नॉट गोइंग टू ज्वाइन एनीवन. फाइन. क्योंकि यूएसए कहता है आई एम तो 3rd लार्जेस्ट प्रोड्यूसर ऑफ कोल. चाइना कहता है आई एम द 1st लार्जेस्ट प्रोड्यूसर ऑफ कोल. इंडिया कहता है आई एम 2nd लार्जेस्ट प्रोड्यूसर ऑफ कोल, सो आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू ज्वाइन द ग्लोबल अलायंस अगेंस्ट कोल. जर्मनी कहता है माई इंडस्ट्री रिक्वायर्स कोल. फ्रांस कहता है माई इंडस्ट्री रिक्वायर्स कोल. सो हु ज्वाइंस द ग्लोबल अलायंस अगेंस्ट कोल्स? मालदीव्स, Marshall Islands. So these are the countries who join the global alliance against coal. Fine. So these are the current based things. International solar alliance खत्म हो गया, अब फिर से क्वेश्चन नहीं आएगा उससे. It is old now. Global alliance against coal. But कौन सी कंट्रीज, सिर्फ इतना याद रखना, 2 ही बड़ी कंट्रीज, बाकी की जो बिल्कुल भी रेलिवेंट नहीं है. बिकॉज इंडस्ट्री सबको चाहिए. Though the climate change is happening, इंडस्ट्री सबको चाहिए. So natural methods of carbon sequestration. Natural methods of carbon sequestration. Natural methods of carbon sequestration is first afforestation. अभी लिखना नहीं है, but you know how to link CAMPA at national level and RED plus at international level. Second, carbon dioxide is naturally absorbed by the ocean waters, or waters. Therefore we say that oceans are natural carbon sink. Therefore we say oceans are natural carbon sink Sink matlab jahan se carbon dioxide will be absorbed. Fine. But this is resulting into ocean acidification. This is resulting into ocean acidification. Which changes the ocean water chemistry. Which changes the ocean water chemistry. Full stop. Acidic ocean dissolves the shells of or can I use the word shells के बदले exoskeleton because outer skeleton है उनका. क्रैब के ऊपर skeleton किसका है? कैल्शियम कार्बोनेट का शेल. हमारे ऊपर स्किन है, स्किन के अंदर skeleton है, बट क्रैब में स्किन नहीं है. इट इज एन skeleton is outside, so it is exoskeleton of crustaceans. Crustaceans मतलब shell bearing animals of crustaceans and corals, which destroys the base of oceanic food chain. Which destroys the base of oceanic food chain. See, understand, अगर corals नहीं है, no place for phytoplanktons. Phytoplanktons नहीं है तो पूरा oceans will be biological deserts. Means there will be no life in the oceans. कल ही हमने question solve किया. Getting it? A traditional method की industry है, industry is giving out a gas which is known as flue gas. Flue gas is nothing but a technical name for the gas or pollution that comes out through chimneys. Now this flue gas is rich in oxides of sulfur, oxides of nitrogen, oxides of carbon, which will result into pollution, as well as carbon monoxide is a pollutant which will result into pollution as well as global warming as well as acid rainfall. So generally big companies के आसपास natural carbon sequestration के लिए there were trees. They were not effective. So next time what they did, they used to build a tank water and यहाँ से they used to capture the flue gas by scrubbers. Or by industrial equipment such as scrubbers. Pollution में हम करेंगे how to capture this flue gas. They used to make it liquid and put it in this tank. क्यों in the tank? Because tank में methanogenesis करने वाले microorganisms were there and they used to produce उससे biogas and thus reduce the carbon emissions. But कितना biogas? कितना बड़ा tank? Pollution is greater. So what is the third? They capture this through scrubbers, take it through pipeline and put it deep inside the earth. In maybe oil fields, जिसमें oil नहीं बचा है. In maybe coal fields, जिसमें coal नहीं बचा है. In maybe depressions, जिसमें पानी नहीं बचा है. We'll call this as aquifers. Or maybe in any sedimentary rock, जिसमें space है. And this process of capturing the carbon dioxide and burying it deep inside the earth is what is known as geoengineering. It is a method of artificial carbon sequestration. Fine with this? So what is carbon sequestration? Taking that carbon dioxide and putting it deep inside the earth in oil fields, in coal fields or depleted coal mines, in aquifers, or in sedimentary rock formations. So best solution to fight the carbon dioxide or global warming, but problem है कितना आप store करोगे inside. Second problem is if you must be looking at newspaper कि Palghar district of Maharashtra is continuously having earthquakes now, and that concept is what is known as hydrostatic earthquakes. What is this hydrostatic earthquakes? This has come out a new concept. That is, if there is heavy rainfall, some of the rainwater will go inside the faults and cracks, and after going inside the cracks, it will cause increase in the density of the rocks, increase in the volume of the rocks, and jaise hi rocks will increase, upar ka earth will shake, and that is what is the hydrostatic earthquakes, not due to dams, due to rainfall, water seeping underground. So imagine, वो सब मत लिखो, वो एक अलग मैं करंट अफेयर्स में पढ़ा दूंगा एक कभी अलग से. इमेजिन वी टेक एन ऑयल फील्ड और प्रॉपरली स्टडी करे बिना हमने कार्बन सिक्वेस्ट्रेशन किया, एंड बाद में पता चला इट इज अ प्लेट बाउंड्री 50 साल बाद. सो जितना भी कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड दैट हैज बीन पुट, इट विल बी रिलीज्ड. फाइन. सो द मतलब व्हाट इज सोल्यूशन इज proper identification of the places should be done. You should not take out any place कि मन किया वहाँ पे store कर दिया. You should avoid the region of plate boundaries, faults and fractures. Otherwise all this carbon dioxide one day will come back, and जो humanity 100 साल बाद मरने वाली थी वो उसी साल मर जाएगी. Fine. So getting it, this is the geoengineering technique. So geoengineering is the process, it is the process by which the carbon dioxide from flue gases, is captured and buried deep in aquifers. Aquifers matlab underground water bodies, in the aquifers, aquifers, in the aquifers, reservoirs, old depleted oil fields, and coal mines, Underline the word deep inside the earth. Some of the carbon dioxide can also be used. For carbon farming. अब ये नया फार्मिंग कौन सा है? जीरो बजट नेचुरल फार्मिंग, ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग, मिक्स्ड फार्मिंग, सबसिस्टेंस फार्मिंग, ये है कार्बन फार्मिंग. एक क्वेश्चन जिसके बारे में मुझे लगता है 90% चांस है आने के, दैट इज कार्बन फार्मिंग. So carbon farming is a name of different or variety of agricultural methods which captures the carbon dioxide. Is a name of variety of agricultural methods that captures the carbon dioxide and uses it for agriculture, by spraying it over into the soil, spraying it into the soil, by spraying it into the soil. So कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड डीप डालने के बदले आप एग्रीकल्चरल सॉइल पे अगर स्प्रे करोगे थोड़ा डीप तो इट इज अन कार्बन फार्मिंग. अगर बहुत डीप डालोगे इनसाइड द अर्थ देन इट इज जियो इंजीनियरिंग. फाइन, कार्बन सिक्वेस्ट्रेशन. बट इफ यू स्प्रे इट ऑन द सॉइल इट इज एन कार्बन फार्मिंग. बेनिफिट्स ऑफ कार्बन फार्मिंग. It improves soil water retention. It improves soil water retention. Increases humus or soil organic matter. Increases humus or soil organic matter. And reduce the use of fertilizers. And reduce the use of fertilizers. Reduce the use of fertilizers. Reduce the use of fertilizers. Mulching is an example of carbon farming. इतना याद रखना, mulching is an example of carbon farming. Next artificial method, biochar burial. Can anyone tell me what is biochar? Biological charcoal. What do you mean by biological charcoal? Waste management in India में याद रखना है. Whatever the waste we are generating, urban waste, we should separate it between dry waste and wet waste. That is the biodegradable and non-biodegradable. The biodegradable waste is taken and burned at very high temperature. So when it is burned at very high temperature, it is known as incineration or pyrolysis. When it is burned in the presence of oxygen, it is incineration. When it is burned anaerobically in the absence of oxygen, it is known as pyrolysis. When the pyrolysis is done at 6000 degrees Celsius, it will result into formation of biological charcoal. अब इस biochar को लेके you bury it, after 20-30 years it will be coal, or this biological charcoal के लेके you spread it on the soil, it will increase the soil fertility. So India में open waste management का answer is biological charcoal. अभी तक किसी ने फोकस नहीं किया, बट द प्रेजेंट गवर्नमेंट इज डूइंग इट, इसलिए आपके इसमें कंपलसरी कर रही है धीरे धीरे द सेपरेशन ऑफ ऑर्गेनिक एंड नॉन ऑर्गेनिक वेस्ट. आफ्टर दैट इट विल बी कलेक्टेड एंड आफ्टर कलेक्शन ये जो बड़े बड़े पहाड़ है ये गायब हो जाएंगे सिटीज से. दे विल बी हैविंग अ प्लांट्स एंड आफ्टर डूइंग द प्लांट्स दे विल पुट इट. अ सिटी इन इंडिया विच इज हैविंग प्रॉपर वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट इज त्रिवेंद्रम. कौन सा? नहीं, कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव तो नहीं है. एनवायरनमेंट के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से अच्छा है रादर देन पुटिंग इट आउटसाइड. See, it is cost effective or not depends upon how much you are using. अगर वर्ल्ड ओवर में मास प्रोडक्शन हो गया तो ऑटोमेटिकली कॉस्ट कम हो जाएगी. बट ये जो बाहर कचरा है क्या होता है, इट इज लीचेस. लीचेस से इट गोज इनटू द सॉइल, सॉइल से बायो एक्यूमुलेशन, लीचिंग से इट गोज इनटू द वाटर बॉडीज गेट बायो एक्यूमुलेशन, आग लग जाती है, पोल्यूशन. सो इससे अच्छा है बायोचार बरियल. फाइन. सो रिमेंबर द डिफरेंस बिटवीन पायरोलाइसिस एंड इंसिनरेशन. Pyrolysis, high temperature, absence of oxygen. Incineration, the presence of oxygen. And see, a very good question of UPSC, it is not in our booklet. What is the answer? All of the above? Answer is 2 only. देखो लॉजिकल एग्जाम में सोचो, पानी को जलाओगे? This is for solid waste management, not for water pollution. This is for solid pollution, air pollution को रोकने के लिए या solid waste management के लिए. पानी को कैसे 6000 डिग्री पे जलाओगे? How you will burn the water? So एक बार वो solid waste leaching के बाद पानी में चला गया, water pollution हो गया. You have to stop the control the water pollution. Water pollution होने के बाद you cannot use pyrolysis and incineration. It is for stopping the water pollution, not for stopping the solid waste or air pollution. So the answer is, again, I'll share some pages with you. That is, this comes from a famous book of ICSE जहाँ से UPSC के pollution के questions बनते हैं. See, you cannot become smarter than UPSC. You should just know the sources of UPSC. So pollution के लिए एक ही source है UPSC का. It does not go through NCERT. It goes through beta publication, ICSE books. Pollution वहीं से आएगा. Fine? Getting it? So biochar burial. Biochar burial. Second, biochar burial is the process that reduces solid waste pollution or biomass pollution. Biochar is also known as biological charcoal. Biochar is also known as biological charcoal, which is created by burning the biomass at high temperature in the absence of oxygen. In the absence of oxygen. This biochar is an important source of energy. and can be used to increase the fertility of the soil. And can be used to increase the fertility of the soil. Increase the fertility of the soil. Third, iron fertilization. Third method, iron fertilization. Understand this method? Sea floor. Now sea is spread with iron dust. Iron dust is very good fertilizer for seaweeds and algae, especially for the algae. Can I rub this diagram? It is for seaweeds and algae. And as soon as you spread the iron dust, there is sudden growth of algae in the sea or in the water bodies. And because there is sudden growth of algae in the water bodies, algae can reduce the carbon dioxide by taking it for the photosynthesis. And thus ocean oxidation, acidification is also reduced and the carbon dioxide is also reduced. Pollution may help nahi karega, but it will help in reducing the global warming. It is a method of removal of carbon dioxide. So that is what is an iron fertilization. This is one of the most famous experiment which India and Germany is conducting, and it is known by the name Loha fix. Loha iron fixation. Fine. So by using the iron, you are fixing the carbon dioxide. So therefore, it is known as Loha fix. Understanding iron dust spraying on the sea. So after spraying on the sea, there is sudden growth of algae, and therefore that algae you will use the excessive carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. That is different. That is urea fertilization. Iron fertilization alag hai, urea fertilization alag hai. Huh? I am coming to that. You first take down this. I am coming to that. Iron fertilization attempts to encourage phytoplankton growth by spraying the iron dust phytoplankton growth by spraying the iron dust, which removes the carbon from the atmosphere. Example, Loha fix of India and Germany. Loha fix experiment of India and Germany. Opposed by most of the countries. Q. Because phytoplankton agar grow hua, तो they will die also. So jitna phytoplankton you will grow, utna more phytoplanktons will die, and once they die, they will release all the carbon dioxide back. Once they release the carbon dioxide back, ultimately unka bodies will start floating on the oceans and they will block the sunlight. Once they block the sunlight, biological oxygen demand, chemical oxygen demand, and pura ocean will become a dead zone. Fine with this? So long term effects nahi hai ye. It is very short term. So iske liye kya kar sakte hai? Fir you will have to do seaweed farming and phytoplankton farming. Bhai phytoplankton growth hua aur kha liya. Taki you will always keep on producing the phytoplanktons. इसलिए नील क्रांति मिशन में एक वर्ड है जो मोदी गवर्नमेंट का, कांग्रेस गवर्नमेंट का, जिसको ब्लू रिवोल्यूशन कहते थे, उसको इन्होंने नील क्रांति मिशन कहा. फाइन, नील क्रांति, ब्लू रिवोल्यूशन. फाइन, नील क्रांति मिशन. और उसमें एक अलग वर्ड है, एनकरेज द ग्रोथ ऑफ सीवीड्स, अलगी एंड फॉर न्यूट्रिशनल सिक्योरिटी ऑफ इंडिया. बट क्या फोकस है लॉन्ग टर्म? कार्बन फर्टिलाइजेशन. फाइन. सो दिस इज हाउ आपको कहा जाएगा कि देखो सीवीड्स, अलगी कितनी अच्छी है. हम खाना शुरू करेंगे, गवर्नमेंट को दूसरा काम करना है. इट वांट्स टू रिड्यूस द ग्लोबल वार्मिंग. सो साइड इफेक्ट्स. Excessive growth of phytoplanktons. may result into more carbon in long term, more carbon in long term. Understanding why more carbon? Because of the death. Second, there will be disruption of oceans nutrient balance. सिर्फ कार्बन कार्बन और आयरन ही बहुत ज्यादा हो जाएगा. There will be disruption of oceans nutrient balance. Oceans nutrient balance. बहुत ज्यादा आयरन is also not good for. एक ही फिश है जिसको बहुत ज्यादा आयरन चाहिए, that is known as sperm whale. बाकी किसी और फिश को इतना ज्यादा आयरन नहीं चाहिए. So ocean nutrient balance. Third, studies have shown that fishes deviate from expected behavior due to iron. Deviate from expected behavior due to iron. Deviate from expected behavior due to iron. क्या होता है? Whales or most of the dolphins and some of the whales which are dependent upon sonar radiation, due to iron उनका sonar signals इधर उधर चले जाते हैं, that is sound signals. So उनको वो expected path जिस path में जाना है, अगर वहाँ पे iron dust बहुत ज़्यादा है तो it will reflect back sound. उनको लगता है वहाँ पे coast है, वो किसी और जगह turn हो जाते हैं. And therefore most of the Chennai beaches उस सब पे many whales come and die in the recent years because whales and especially dolphins are blind, they cannot see, they will put an sound echo, और जहाँ से echo reflect होके वापस आया, that is जहाँ से the sound signal echoes and comes back, उस direction में नहीं जाते. क्यों? क्योंकि उनको लगता है कोई barrier है. This is how they travel, by sonar waves. What? Echolocation. Fine. So this is expected behavior, and it may release, fourth, it may release large amount of nitrous oxides. It may release large amount of nitrous oxides. It may release large amount of nitrous oxides. Q nitrous oxides? Too much of iron causes indigestion, waste, and therefore nitrous oxides will be released. Fine with this? So these are some of the artificial methods of carbon sequestration. Before I go, open question number 69. We have solved this. What is the answer? That is a question from carbon cycle also. Question number 78. See, important pollutants released by steel industry. Fine. So steel industry is going to release, you know, obviously 1 and 2. Sulfur oxides क्योंकि coal है, nitrous oxides because again due to coal. Fine. But coal से ज़्यादा nitrous oxides comes through vehicle, but obviously, so you have to look for the answer 1 and 2. है? नहीं है. Carbon monoxide is a pollutant due to combustion, you already know that. कुछ भी combust हुआ, so you have to look for the answer 1, 2, 3. Next step में है? नहीं है. So the only choice remaining is 1, 2, 3 and 4. कभी कभी direct answers नहीं मिलते. So you have to choose between like this. पहले देखो 1 and 2 है क्या? 1, 2, 3 है क्या? नहीं है 1, 2, 3. It should have been the obvious answer. 1, 2, 3 नहीं है. So don't mark 1 and 3, 3 and 4 only. Mark 1, 2, 3, 4 in the examination. Fine? कम कुछ मत करो, extra कुछ addition करो लगता है. Because obviously some amount of carbon dioxide will be released. अब this question should have been which of the pollutants and greenhouse gas, but UPSC ने greenhouse gas को निकाल दिया. एक ही common question दे दिया, which are the important pollutants. वैसे carbon dioxide is not a pollutant. Fine. Question number 125. Answer is D, all. So उस क्वेश्चन का बैकग्राउंड देखो. जिस साल इंडिया लॉन्च्ड कार्ब फिक्स प्रोजेक्ट, इंडिया साइंड कार्ब फिक्स प्रोजेक्ट, उस साल यह क्वेश्चन पूछा. व्हाट वाज इन द न्यूज? कार्ब फिक्स. क्या पूछा गया? उसका थियरी. व्हाट इज कार्बन सिक्वेस्ट्रेशन? फाइन. सो विल मीट टुमारो. आई वोंट बी टेकिंग द क्लास. आई विल टेक ऑन डे आफ्टर टुमारो. I guess tomorrow will be science. Those who want to come for current affairs, you can come in the morning. Urea fertilization. Phytoplankton bloom, iron fertilization.